Okay, alien detectives, space detectives, space alien detectives. This is Joe from Artanian TV, and today we are looking at the Spirit rover, and this particular image was taken on Sol 648. So this was taken years ago. I've got the Wikipedia page for the Spirit rover up here. This tells you it landed on Mars back in 2004 and conked out in 2009, but carried on communicating with Earth until 2010. It actually became stuck in some mud or something. There's not supposed to be any mud on Mars. It's all supposed to be frozen, but there we are. So you can check that out. Follow the links below. There will be a link to the main page here as well in the description with this image, which you can download. Now, this image is not brilliant quality. It's been downgraded. There's absolutely no reason why they would have to downgrade such a low quality image to start with. The raw image of this would have been about 300 or 400 kilobytes, which is not even half a megabyte. Okay, but they've actually compressed it down to about 200 kilobytes. But Steve Bolden posted the colour version of this on Artanian TV Mars magazine. So full credit to Steve Bolden. This is a really interesting find. And the colour version is even lower quality, unfortunately, which is why I went to the black and white version. This is only about 100 kilobytes. It's really quite poor. But this is a cool find. And when you start looking around this object, you might find some very interesting things like I'm about to show you. Okay, so without further ado, let's go straight to the folder and have a look. So full credit to Steve for this one. Really interesting. I'm going to show you the meme straight away that I made of it, which I made up after looking at it and being quite amazed by it. I thought, wow, let's do a meme. And here we are, found by Steve Bolden, 30th May 2018. Enhanced clip, and this is the raw part of the image, completely raw. It's just been enlarged, and then I put the enhanced clip over the top, and you can even see here what looks like a skull, but partially mummified with still some lip detail here. You see teeth there coming down, nasal cavity, nasal bone, eye socket there, eye socket there. The eye sockets are very narrow and small on this skull. Not like a human skull at all, really. And it's quite similar to the dead alien soldier I found a few years back, which I posted on my channel. I'll put a link to that video at the end of this one, which you can click straight on and look at the similarities. I'll put one or two other playlists at the end as well. You can click on them. There's probably over 30 of these now on my channel. 30 or 40 alien skulls. This is one of the best examples. I found most of them, but this is another good example of one that's been found by a different researcher. And it's an amazing find. And when you start looking at the image carefully, you can see that there's other skulls and things in this immediate area. It looks a bit like a crime scene, okay? But look at the face detail. Look at those lips here and teeth. It's there. That's a skull. It's very bulbous looking. It's very rounded. It's quite large. I would say the skull is about 9 or 10 inches, maybe, perhaps only 8. So it's kind of human-sized, but it may be a bit bigger. It's very hard to tell. We don't know how far the camera was zoomed in when the picture was taken, and we don't know exactly how far away the rover was when it took this image. Okay, so it's impossible to say exactly how big it is. It could probably be worked out by looking at some of the maps and stuff, but that would take far too long for the purpose of this video. But if I find out any more details, I'll put them in the description, as always. And if there's any questions you have, please feel free to ask in the comment section below, as usual. And let me know what you think. Is it the skull? Is it something else? It could be. But before we go any further, let's have a look at some of these other images here. This is the raw image as it comes. Now when you zoom into this, it breaks up quite badly because the image has been compressed, but it's better than the colour version. And you can actually get rid of a lot of this by enlarging the image and stuffing it full of pixels. And I'll show you how I do that right now, very quickly. Shift size, Shift S for size. Pixels per inch. Now that's 200 at the moment. What I normally do is put an extra 0 in there, making it much bigger. The actual size is 1024 width and height. So this is a small image, really small by today's standard. And what I'll do, I normally We'll go up to about 2000 or something like that. And when you're enlarging, the resample rate here, it has to be done bilinear. If you do it any other way, it won't look better when you enlarge it. What this does, it tends to smooth the image out, okay? If you use a bilinear enlargement, when you do that, magically the image is then cleaned up. Then what I do is add a little bit of blur, a little bit of Gaussian blur for this image, probably about 0.6, yeah, and then instantly it gets rid of all that compression and distortion crap in the image, and you can zoom in then and look at it in more detail. So that's what I do. And then what I did is I really brightened the hell out of it here. Here's the image that I've enhanced. You can see it's much brighter. The sky's gone completely white. But what this does, basically, it just makes the image easier to look at, and you can start seeing a lot more detail without it breaking up, and you can really make out the shapes more if you add contrast and brightness. So there we have it. There's the skull. And if you look next to it, there seems to be another one here, which is much, much smaller. You've got two brow ridges. There's one brow ridge there and another one here. And if you go in closer, you can see an eye here. You can even see what looks like a pupil there. A darker bit there, right? And the eye there. And you can even see one here. There's an eye there with a pupil there. And an eye there, okay? This is pretty crude. I'm just doing this to demonstrate what I'm seeing, because it's not immediately obvious with this, because the image is quite low quality. It's not terrible, but luckily we're quite close to these things. Then you look to the right of that, and I was looking at it, I was thinking, hang on a minute, there's another one. Now I looked at this, I thought this looks like a skull here, right? That's the head. And I thought, hang on a minute, it's joined to this, like a neck there. This is squashed and distorted. And you've got an arm here, coming down to here, and there. There's the arm, there's the shoulder, there's the elbow there. You've got a hand here, right? There's a thumb, and an object being held, like that, okay? Like a knife or some kind of weird implement, don't know what it is. Weird. Now, bear with me on this, because it does become more obvious. Edge of the face there, chin here, mouth, nose. You can just about make out an eye there, and just about make out a really faint one there as well. The head comes up, you've got the crest or some kind of weird skull configuration coming off the top of it there, like that. The head goes right back, and the jaw, you can actually see the jaw coming round here like that, cheekbone here. Okay, and it comes right down to here, partially buried, up to the waist. Really, really crazy. Now, I'm going to get rid of those, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to really darken this image to show those shapes are actually there. So I'm going to go really dark, and again, and you can see that arm now. You can see that arm here quite clearly, right? Coming up to there, coming to there, right? You can now see the eye. See the eye there, and one here. The nose has come out clearer now because there's more shadow. The mouth, we lost mouth detail because that's in shadow. You can see this kind of crest coming off here, right? See that? And you can see the object. You can see the you can see the hand here, and you can see what looks like an object here. Don't know what that is. I'm not saying it's a knife. It may well be something else. Don't know. Now, those of you who've heard of Pompeii will realise what I'm trying to get across here that a lot of these aliens were killed in a nuclear war or a cataclysm of some sort, and they were encrusted in either volcanic ash or nuclear fallout or whatever, buried, and they may have only been uncovered very recently. In other words, there may have been a storm here which blew away the sand off this ridge line. This ridge goes right up here, okay? I don't know how high it is, it's probably not that high. And the rover's kind of driven up to the base of the ridge and has taken these photographs. So you can see what looks good. We've obviously got a skull here. We've got what may be a skull here with a nose and eyes, like I showed, right? There's the eyes and the nose. Jaw coming down here. No teeth detail, but that's in shadow. Right? I appreciate this is a bit hard to get your head around, but what we're looking at is a burial site. Now, whether these were actually buried naturally or placed there, I couldn't tell you. There's also another one here. Look at this. There's an eye here. There's a nose. Maxilla. Teeth. At least two or three teeth here. Right? Chin. Jaw coming up. Right? Some kind of ear. Some kind of headgear. Right? I could be wrong on this one. But those do look like teeth. When you look at it more carefully, look at the teeth. There's teeth here. See that? That's a mouth with teeth and a jaw. Now, when you look at some of the other skulls I've found, a lot of them are quite different. They have quite large and bad teeth, a lot of these alien skulls. This one looks really different to other ones I found, and it looks like a little small kind of one of the midget type of Martians. And some of the Martians were really tall. This one probably would have been at least 6 foot tall, assuming they had human proportions with similar length limbs and that kind of thing. But if this is a dead Martian, mummified in mud and encrusted, then this is really small, much smaller, much smaller than this. So this would have been a dwarf kind of Martian. But you can see that once you've seen it, once you realise the shapes you're looking at, you can see the arm. You can see that arm. It's there. You can see the hand. You can see the object here. All right, whatever that is. You can see that face. I know it's vague, but if all you have to do is download the image, add loads of contrast, increase the pixels like I showed you, enlarge it a bit, blur it a little bit, get rid of the pixelation, get rid of some of the distortion. There's enough detail here for it to actually show when you do that. You don't have to do much to the image. There's also something here. Could that be another skull? Just here. 2 eyes, nose, mouth, chin. Maybe not. But there were different races and very different types of people on Mars. If you look at the other skulls that I've got in my huge collection, there's at least 4, possibly more, that we don't know about. There's also this thing here that's a bit like a helmet here. Okay? Could be another skull even, don't know. Not enough of it there to actually tell. But when you start looking more carefully at these things, there's loads of weird stuff in here. There's like this little square thing with a, I mean, what's that? It's got these square bits to it, right? What is that? Not another mobile phone, is it? Probably not. But what is it? It looks... I've only really just noticed that. Just this second. It's a rectangular object there with square parts to it. Okay? What is it? Who knows? I mean, if you've got skulls there were people there. If you've got bodies and buildings and animals, you've got everything. You have everything. There must have been technology as well. So it looks like a skull here, some kind of rectangular device here, just there. You've got a possible head here, skull. You know, nose and mouth, teeth. See those teeth there quite clearly without doing much to this at all. Chin. Is that an eye there? Possibly. I mean, this is partially buried, of course. And the head coming around. Is this an ear? Maybe, maybe not. Don't know. But when you have things that are largely damaged and buried and encrusted, some of the details we're seeing are not necessarily of the body. A lot of the detail may be where clay is kind of stuck to it and it's dried out and kind of fossilized and encrusted and calcified. I mean, this is extraordinary. That looks like an alien right there, buried, encased in possibly volcanic ash or radioactive dust. I mean, that arm there, look at that arm. And the hand. Yeah, I mean, that is insane. So, great find by Steve Bolden here, really interesting. And the more you look at this image, the more of this stuff you're like looking at and thinking, wow, this looks like a whole load of dead aliens were in this area and buried. Now, whether they were buried at different times and kind of just piled up here, I don't know. I mean, is this a skull here? Eye socket, eye socket. I just spotted it. Nose. If you go in close, you can see teeth. There. Right? You see what's happening here? Now, let's take that off of there and let's have a look at it without those on it. Right, let's go dark. I mean, this whole area is like a big pile of them. Absolutely insane. Now, when you darken it, you can see those teeth appearing. See those teeth? I've gone too far there. You can see that coming out. You can see that shape. That looks like another alien. You've got the maxilla here. You've got teeth here, right? You seeing it? Now, if I blacken that out, like we got next to it, you've got your archetypal kind of alien grey-looking skull right there. See what I mean? So, I may be wrong on this one, but wow. I mean, I've just spotted that. I mean, the whole area is absolutely littered with them. If there are skulls here, there must be more bones and more parts just in the sand and rubble here. But that really does look like an alien. So there we are, guys. There we have it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you soon.